Hi and welcome to True Crime, a channel dedicated to the dark underworld of criminal activity carried out by gangsters, mobsters, cartel leaders, and others. The top 10 most amazing jailbreaks in history will be revealed to us today, and they will surprise you. When they are captured, some of the world's most notorious criminals are given the harshest and longest jail sentences. But for some of these criminals, fulfilling their sentence is the last thing on their minds. In this episode, we examine some of the most meticulously planned and carried out jailbreaks the world has ever seen. To ensure that you never miss a video, be sure to subscribe to our channel. There are more than 10 million prisoners in the world, and there are 600,000 attempts at escape each year. Although not all of these attempts are successful, amazing escapes happen frequently. The top 10 jail escapes throughout history are presented in this video. Number 10. The Texas 7. On December 13, 2000, 7 inmates managed to escape from a maximum security prison in South Texas, setting off a dramatic 6-week search. The escapees, dubbed the Texas 7 by the media, overpowered non-prison employees and guards in the repair shop, where they worked before taking clothes, guns, and a car. The guys said in a message they left behind that you haven't heard the last of us yet. The fugitives, who had been convicted of rape, murder, and other heinous crimes, went after a sporting goods store in Irving, Texas, and made off with a sizable quantity of cash as well as a number of firearms. Aubrey Hawkins, a police officer, was shot many times during the incident, and the guys ran over him before he was fatally wounded. The Texas 7 ultimately moved from Texas to Colorado, where they pretended to be Christian missionaries while living in an RV for a month at a trailer park near Woodland Park. On January 22, 2001, a tip from a fan of the America's Most Wanted TV broadcast that highlighted the Texas 7 helped police track down the fugitives. The ringleader, George Rivas, and 3 other men were all taken into custody. A 5th wanted individual committed suicide while being surrounded by police. 2 days later, police searched a Colorado Springs motel for the 2 remaining fugitives. During the subsequent confrontation, the fugitives said in telephone interviews with a TV news station that they ran away as a protest against Texas' criminal justice system. The guys later surrendered to the police. Officer Hawkins died in February 2001. The 6 Texans that are left were charged with his murder and given the death penalty. Each individual was ultimately determined to be guilty and handed the death penalty. Many of them were eventually executed. Number 9. Empress Matilda's escape. As a struggle for the throne of England raged across the country in the fall of 1142, Empress Matilda was besieged at Oxford Castle by troops loyal to her cousin Stephen. Matilda's incredible escape took place one chilly December night, when, according to legend, she dashed over the ice to Wallingford Castle on homemade ice skates while wearing a white cape. Number 8. Ronnie Biggs. Ronnie Biggs is renowned for his role in the 1936 Great Train Robbery and for spending 36 years on the run until turning himself in voluntarily in 2001. His involvement in the Great Train Robbery led to his initial capture and imprisonment. On July 8, 1965, Biggs, who had just about finished serving his sentence of 19 months, escaped from Wandsworth Prison by using a rope ladder to scale a wall and then jumping from there onto a waiting car. He escaped to Paris, changed his identity, and had cosmetic surgery before traveling by boat to Brussels. Number 7. John Gerard. Gerard, a Jesuit priest who was imprisoned during a time when Elizabethan England severely persecuted the Catholic Church, persisted to proclaim his Catholic convictions. He was repeatedly tortured for information he never provided throughout his interrogations while he was in prison. He finally received a death sentence for his actions, and he was anxious to flee. The only person known to have made it out of the historic London skyscraper is Gerard. Gerard communicated with supporters outside the castle by means of covert messages written in orange juice-based invisible ink. After nearly falling owing to his damaged hands, his companions then took a boat into the tower's moat, and he was able to escape by using a rope that was tossed up to him. Number 6. Escape from Alcatraz. After excavating a tunnel through the cell walls for 2 years, Frank Morris, John Angeline, and his brother Clarence constructed a raft to sail to freedom in June 1962. The prison guards were tricked by putting dummies into the mattresses of the 3 inmates, and it wasn't until the next morning that they realized the inmates had vanished. Alan West, a fellow prisoner, came up with the scheme. After remnants of the raft and life jackets, as well as some of the detainees' personal belongings, were later found in the bay. Investigators came to the conclusion that the guys perished. The FBI formally ended the investigation on December 31, 1979. Number 5. Yoshi Shiratori. Yoshi Shiratori is well known for making 4 escape attempts in the period of 3 years after being found guilty of murder and given a life sentence. Shiratori escaped from Aomori prison in 1936 and again from Akita prison in 1942. Before breaking out of the Abashiri prison in 1944, he used miso soup to rust his handcuffs and an inspection hole. However, he was caught again in 1946. Shiratori built a tunnel and escaped for the 4th time in 1948 after being given a death sentence by the Sapporo District Court in 1947. Shiratori's death sentence was reversed after he was apprehended after confessing to a police officer that he was an escaped convict. As a result, he served 26 years in prison until being freed in 1961. Number 4. John Dillinger. During the Great Depression in America, John Dillinger committed 24 bank robberies, as well as 4 police station heists. He was apprehended and imprisoned in Lima in the fall of 1933 after robbing 2 banks. Throughout his criminal career, he twice managed to escape from imprisonment. 4 days after capturing the group, Dillinger used his prison time to help the escape inmates smuggle weapons into their cells, which they used to escape. Dillinger later returned to prison while posing as Indiana State Prison officers and was successfully freed from his cell. After a second wave of bank robberies in 1934, Dillinger was apprehended once more and taken to Crown Point Prison. The police boasted to the media that the prison was impenetrable, but Dillinger allegedly used shelves in his cell and a razor to make a fake gun model, lured a guard into opening his cell, took 17 men, then lured the guards back to the cell block and imprisoned them before fleeing. Number 3. Alfred George Hines. A 12-year jail-sentenced British felon named Alfred George Hines was able to escape from 3 top-notch prisons. In 1958, Hines first escaped from a Nottingham jail by scaling a 20-foot wall and busting through locked doors. Then, for the next 248 days while on the run across Europe, he worked as a painter and decorator until being apprehended. Hines used his subsequent arrest as pretext for suing the police, which allowed him to avoid having to be led to court. In order to lock the 2 guards into the toilet cubicle while he was being escorted there, his associates provided him a padlock and screw eyes to connect to the wall. He then fled along Fleet Street and made his way to the airport, where he was captured 5 hours later. Chelmsford Jail was his 3rd and last prison, where he was found 5 hours later. Less than a year later, he managed to escape again by traveling to Ireland, where he resided for 2 years under a fictitious identity before being apprehended once again for operating an illegal car. Number 2. Maze Prison. 38-era inmates broke their way out of the maximum security facility, which was regarded as one of the most escape-proof jails in Europe, on September 25, 1983. All exits from the prison complex are blocked by 15-foot fences, 18-foot thick concrete walls, and barbed wire-topped H-blocks. The prisoners planned the escape over a period of months with 2 accomplices. Bob Kelly started working as an orderly to look for system flaws, and 6 pistols were smuggled into the jail to take advantage of these flaws. Prisoners took control shortly after 2:30 p.m. by holding jail staff hostage and commandeering a truck delivering food to the block. Officers in the gatehouse were also taken hostage, and it took several attempts for the main gate to open. The prisoners abandoned the truck after 2 cars set up a temporary roadblock outside the prison, and they escaped over a fence. Number 1. The Great Escape. Squadron leader Roger Bushell organized the major breakout from Stalag Luft 3, a prisoner of war camp, in the spring of 1943. It occurred on the evening of March 24, 1944. Bushell oversaw the escape committee at the North Complex, which housed the British airmen. He built 3 lengthy, deep tunnels beneath the camp's defenses, known as Tom, Dick, and Harry. It was anticipated that even if the Germans discovered one of the tunnels, they would never know that 2 others were being constructed. More than 600 prisoners were needed to build the tunnel, and they utilized discarded materials in highly inventive ways. 2 groups of the 200 potential fugitives were formed. Criminals with a history of avoiding capture or native German speakers were among the first 100, known as serial offenders, to be awarded seats. There were 70 males present, since it was believed that their contribution to the language was the greatest. The second group was chosen at random on Friday, March 24th, and the attempt to escape began at 10:30. The first man to come out discovered that the tunnel had halted just short of a tree as opposed to continuing into a neighboring woods about 5 p.m. before the 77th was found by the Army at 4:55 a.m. on March 25th. 76 men successfully escaped down the tunnel despite being awfully close to a watchtower. Thank you for watching another amazing video from our true crime team. Like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned to our next real-life true crime video.